Beginning. The shelter in the storm. The storm came without warning. One moment, the plains of Talora 4 were quiet, painted in silver dust beneath twin moons. The next, the sky fractured open, spilling sheets of ionized rain and streaks of violet lightning. I barely made it into the outpost survival dome before the winds reached lethal velocity. The outer scanners went dark as the system's power core rerouted everything to defense mode. It was just me now, alone, surrounded by a world that wanted to tear itself apart. Or so I thought. A pounding on the reinforced hatch jolted me upright. 3 sharp knocks, then a pause, then 2 more. The rhythm was unmistakably sentient. For a second I hesitated. There weren't supposed to be others out here. The evacuation transports had left 2 nights ago. Another set of knocks, harder this time. Against my better judgment, I keyed in the manual override. The hatch hissed open, and the storm surged inside, along with a figure wrapped in shimmering armor that refracted the lightning like liquid metal. The figure stumbled forward and collapsed to one knee. Through the flickering emergency light, I could see her breathing raggedly, her voice metallic and soft at once. "Shelter," she said. "Please, shelter." I sealed the hatch behind her and watched as the dome steadied against the storm's fury. The figure stood, brushing off dust and lowering her hood, revealing skin faintly luminescent blue and eyes that burned silver in the dimness. An alien. Taloran. The same species that had been at war with Earth for 2 decades. But her voice trembled. "You're from the Northern Unit, aren't you? Your signal matches the Royal Order's codes." Froze. She thought I was one of them. "Yeah," I said carefully. "You could say that." She exhaled in relief, collapsing onto one of the supply crates. Her armor flickered, some kind of adaptive system responding to damage. I knelt beside her, scanning her vitals. The storm had likely damaged her respirator, maybe even her inner suit. I didn't tell her I was human. Not yet. Middle, the stranger's secret. Hours passed. The storm continued to howl, and the survival dome became our tiny world. She introduced herself as Saren Valra, a scout from the Taloran Vanguard. She was part of a team searching for refuge zones, underground safe havens for her people, away from the war's front lines. I listened quietly, nodding, careful not to speak too much. My accent, my breathing patterns, even my physiology might give me away. Luckily, my suit's filters disguised my heat signature and partially masked my voice. Saren leaned against the wall, watching the lightning crack through the dome's shield. "You fought today, didn't you?" she asked suddenly. "I saw the energy bursts on the ridge. You were the one defending the outpost." My pulse quickened. "Something like that," I said. She smiled faintly. "You're brave. The humans hit hard. I heard their commander doesn't leave survivors." That commander was me. Forced a laugh. "Humans are unpredictable. They're monsters," she said, her voice cold now. "They destroyed my sister's colony on Maros 9. She wasn't even a soldier." Guilt twisted in my chest. I'd been part of the fleet that approved that strike. Back then, it was just another order. Another red dot on the radar. Saren's expression softened again. "But not all of them. I think they fight because they must." Her silver eyes met mine, and something unspoken passed between us. Curiosity, maybe even empathy. She reached out suddenly, brushing a streak of dust from my chest plate. "You're quiet," she said. "Most soldiers I meet brag about their kills. You don't." "I've seen enough death," I replied without thinking. Saren tilted her head, studying me. "Your words. They sound strange. Like you've lived 2 lives." If only she knew how true that was. The storm outside roared louder, thunder shaking the dome. Inside it was silent except for the hum of backup power. We shared food rations, nutrient bars that she found bitter, and I found familiar. "Do you have family?" I asked, trying to shift the topic. "Not anymore," she said softly. "Only duty." For the first time I saw the cracks beneath the armor. Not physical but emotional. She wasn't the cold, perfect warrior Tallarans were known for. She was human in her pain. A flicker of truth. By the 5th hour the power grid began to fail. The lights dimmed, and emergency lanterns cast pale shadows over us. Saren stood and adjusted her armor, preparing to head back into the storm. "You'll die if you go out there," I warned. "I have orders," she said. "My people depend on me." "Then stay," I urged. "At least until dawn." She hesitated, then nodded. The silence stretched between us again, heavier this time. I could feel her curiosity, the way she studied me when she thought I wasn't looking. Finally, she said quietly, "Remove your hood. Let me see your face." My breath caught. If she saw me, if she realized I was human, everything would end right there. "I can't," I said. "The storm exposure." Her tone softened. "You saved my life. The least I can do is look at the one who did." Before I could stop her, she reached forward and triggered the autoseal on my helmet. The visor hissed open. And in that moment, the flickering light from the storm illuminated my face. Saren froze. Her pupils constricted to silver points. "You," she whispered. "You're human." I didn't move. "Saren, listen." But she stepped back, hand hovering near her sidearm. The air between us turned electric. "You lied to me," she said, her voice trembling, part anger, part disbelief. "You're the enemy." "I didn't lie," I said quietly. "I just didn't tell you." Her breathing quickened. "You killed my people. And yours killed mine," I replied. "But right now, that storm doesn't care which side we're on." She stared at me for a long time, torn between instinct and something deeper. The silence between us was louder than the thunder. Middle continued. A fragile truce. Saren lowered her weapon slowly. "You should have killed me when I entered." "I don't kill people seeking shelter," I said. Her eyes softened again. "Then you're not like the others." We sat again, this time with truth between us, raw and uncomfortable. I expected her to attack, or at least try to escape. But instead she asked quietly, "Why are you still here, human?" "I was left behind," I admitted. "My ship withdrew when the storm started. I didn't make it to extraction." She nodded. "So we're both stranded." "Seems that way." Minutes passed before she spoke again. "Do you regret the war?" The question hit harder than I expected. "Every day," I said. Her gaze lingered on me, and for the first time, her expression wasn't anger. It was understanding. The storm's end. By dawn, the storm had weakened. The dome's sensors flickered back to life, and the first rays of light cut through the gray sky. Saren stood by the hatch, staring at the horizon. "So," I said, breaking the silence, "what now?" She didn't answer right away. Finally she turned to me. "If I report this, if I tell them I found a human and didn't kill him, they'll exile me." "Then don't tell them," I said. She gave a small, humorless laugh. "And you? You'll return to your base and say what? That you spent the night with the enemy?" I didn't have an answer. Saren stepped closer, the morning light catching the shimmer of her skin. "Maybe. This storm wasn't a curse.